Dear friends, welcome to Book Talk. Our book for today is Superstar India by Shobha Dé. Shobha Dé doesn't require any introduction. This book also has a subtitle which says From Incredible to Unstoppable. Just like Shobha Dé herself, she is unstoppable. It is a marathon book of some 465 pages, published by Penguin in 2008. The book is well styled, well narrated, well ornamented. It is oratory in many ways. It is munificent when it comes to using those within the brackets to explain the meanings of the sentences or to elaborate on them. And it also has a very good construct of sentences that brings in the literary astuteness of the lady author. In Gallon it has ellipses, punctuation marks, and that only sharpens rather I would say, the book and its sentences. So overall it's an excellent book, all in all excellent job, high-end stuff, but I would like to call it a book full of masala, very close to the proverbial Bhanmati ka pitara, the wonder casket, if I may say so. She's come out with some very interesting sentences, rather not sentences, she's come out with some very interesting facts about India, which she terms very interestingly. One is, she says, Indians are very good at adjusting. Adjusting is a very favorite word, and everybody adjusts. And the second is, Indians are more attached to their poverty. Most Indians have never been prosperous, so they've been attached very dearly to their poverty, which she has described in the book quite in detail. Then the other word she uses is elastic. Indians are very elastic in their approach. They can stretch to any bit, they can retract. So she feels that Indians are elastic by nature. But the mother of all dialogues is when she says, whenever India fails, I am not using the exact words, whenever India fails in any manner, we bring out Gandhi, and Gandhi has saved India's ass many times. So this is the boldness in her writing. Now, if we come to the book, it has got a lot of historical text, in the sense like it's got statistics, it's got data, it's got it talks about politicians, it talks about NRIs, it talks about scheduled caste, it talks about scheduled tribe, it talks about places, it talks about temples, it talks about festivals, it talks about traditions, it talks about death, it talks about love making in a Mumbai chal, it talks about a woman bathing somewhere in Mumbai, or it talks about open defecation. So all these things she has covered in great detail. And once a seasoned reader who's into newspapers and periodicals, if that kind of a reader, when he starts reading this book, he gets a feel as if the book is very familiar. He's read all this earlier also, but she has compiled it in a very meticulous manner. Now the biggest thing why she wrote this book, according to me, is that she felt that she should compare or ameliorate Indians as compared to their Western counterparts. But that doesn't come out very properly in this book, because when she compares the Indians with the Western world, she appreciates. But otherwise, she is not appreciative about many things in India, and she keeps some kind of a bias in terms of criticism. The second point is she hasn't covered full of India. 65% of the Indian population resides in the villages, in the rural areas. She has not covered that, and that 65% gives about 13 to 14% of India's GDP. So that bit she has not covered. So unless you cover that, how will India become a superpower is remains to be seen. The narration is seamless yet endless, and it carries on and on. I would have preferred had the lady author given some kind of a sub chapters or even span breakers to the long prose that she has written. She also describes the Indians as love-making, children producing machines, which is very evident, of course, looking at the population that we have. And she's very blunt about sex, she's very blunt about women's lib. She has even flagged that women have not been treated well in this country in the past, and she even tries to bring down men as compared to Indian women. She describes about death rituals. She describes very well, very lukewarmly Pakistan. I guess she has made some visits to Pakistan in the Lit Fest, and she has also been to China many times. It appears from the book, and she has very relevantly described China as compared to India. One very good thing about India when she compares with China is she says that in China you don't get to see poverty, because when you enter China, all this poverty is shifted to a particular place where tourists are not allowed to go, whereas in India everything is open. So as you land, you see juggi jhopdis and all those chars in Bombay or in Delhi. So a tourist might get a very negative feeling about India, which he may not get in China. The other good part about this book is she's very bold, unbothered. She's abusive, and she doesn't care. She starts off very well for the first 60 pages. Her trip to Agra, and there she's described even the rural areas a little bit. But then after 60 odd pages, she goes all over, and there is no kind of plan of action, it appears in the book, and she is just hopping and hopping about India. But at times I wonder, why did she write this book? Whether she literally wanted to praise India, or it was only on a comparative that she wanted to praise India when juxtaposed against the Westerners. She also describes NRIs, people like Zubin Mehta and Lakshmi Narayan Mittal in quite a great detail, and brings out the minuses and the pluses in them. She even has described in Vijay Mallya in this particular book. In 2008, she rated Vijay Mallya as the role model of India. But where is he today is anybody's guess. Shobha Dé is as old as independent India, and to that extent she has really captured most of the things, and I would like to, I'm very tempted to call this a modern history book, because she covers everything that matters to urban India. But as I have said, she is missed out on the rural front. She believes in the evil eye, buri nazar. So she has covered that part also in this book, and she says buri nazar is not prevalent in India alone. It is prevalent in many other countries, and she describes it quite well. And she talks about Bollywood, Hollywood, but when it comes to Bollywood, she says that Bollywood is still known because of the old songs and not so much because of the new songs, which I tend to agree with her. She has described the corporate India in great detail, and she has also written about the ABCD factor, that is the American born confused desis. According to her, when ABCDs come to India, they have their confused mind about Indian traditions, and I would rather be quiet on that and let the reader only decide whether the ABCD are more of Indians or ABCD are less of Indians. According to me, when a person leaves this country and goes abroad, he becomes more of an Indian, because there most NRIs carry our flags better than we Indians who stay in the mainland or even in the islands of India. The book also has lovely ellipses that elucidate the sentences, and one learns how she uses them, and that is something you will not get in too many authors. So if you are wanting to read a some good English, some high scale literature, high scale English writing, this is indeed the book. So net, I would say this is a modern history of India, well summarized by Shobha Dé and well presented by Penguin. But I am not very sure whether this has caught up well with the readers, because there is no storyline. If a person has picked up this book misjudging it as a storybook, he is disappointed. The second point is, even for people who have picked it up as a Superstar India book, the duration of reading is quite long, and it's got that small print that even increases when you come to 435 pages. So it's a long read, but a good read. And I would, if you ask me, this book is worth the go, I would say that if you are interested in knowing the perception of foreigners about India, it's a good book. If you want to know about the perception of some of the rich guys and the elite of India about India or about the other India, it's a good book. It teaches you a lot of things. It takes you very strongly on various brands of things that you use, the foreign brands. She has captured it very well, the Italian clothes, the European stuff, and all the big brands also she has captured very well in this. She has captured very well the singers of today as well as yesteryears. So it's a very informative book. I would love to read it once in a while, but not more than 4 to 5 pages at a time, because then it gets a little boring. So I don't have anything else about this book, and this is all I have to say. So if you've liked our program, kindly share it, subscribe to our channel. Next week we shall be coming out with another book. Till then, goodbye and thank you.